get us started. So Laura, take it away.
Alrighty, thanks, Sophie. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're really excited to be here this evening with you all who joined us. Thanks for tuning in. So we are a collective of groups, including land trusts and outdoor education organizations, conservation organizations, who get together to think about ways that we can help people in southern coastal Maine get outside. So this evening, we're going to kind of all introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about what our offerings are for the rest of winter, which I realize now is only like 5 days, right? Because I think the first day of spring is on the 20th, but we'll see if that actually fits with what the weather will be. But for the rest of what I'll call winter, probably for the next 3 months, and then spring and summer. We won't probably get fully into summer, but we'll get into winter and late spring here, and ways that you can get outside with us on your own on some of our lands, using materials that we've created for you so that you can do these things on your own if that feels safer for you, if it's just easier for you. So Gateway to Maine Outside, formed I think about 10 or 12 years ago. I won't list all the names of the organizations that's in it because it's quite a bunch, and they will all introduce themselves when they speak. But the reason we exist is, like I said, to help you get outside. And this past year has been a year that has really shown the value of having opportunities to get outside. As we remember last spring, it was one of the few things that we could do safely was to get outside. And I know a lot of the land trusts noticed a real big increase in visitation to preserves and trails and everything else. And we felt kind of the value in a different way, or just the need and the interest amongst people who maybe hadn't been interested in getting outside before. So I don't know if that's true of anyone in the audience, but we do kind of want to make this an interactive evening. So I encourage you right now, I'm just curious, you can put in the chat box or unmute yourself if anyone here kind of increased their time spent outside in the past year. How did the pandemic affect your relationship with spending time outside? So yeah, chat box, or feel free to unmute yourself. Or you might feel shy, and that's fine too. Yeah, Bob.
Like probably many other people out there, I acquired another canine in the midst of the pandemic, which increased the trail time with my 4-year-old dog Mowgli and our now 1-year-old. So that was a great way for us to get out as a slightly larger pack this year. And yeah, we spent a lot of time on the trails this year.
That's awesome. A dog is a good kind of definitely forces you to get outside whether you want to or not, but it sounds like you were wanting to anyway. Sure. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And let's see in the chat box, we have, I wish I could stay and learn. Just gonna go outside. All right, well, there you go, fair enough. So much time in our woods at our house. I totally increased my time, did all 18 trails, Great Works Land Trust for the first time. Awesome. So I got out to walk as much as I could, mostly the beach, but often the Highland farm trails and the new loop on Bartlett Road, which is our fuller forest. Lucky that we were able to play pickleball outside. Great. So it sounds like a lot of people, not surprisingly, since you signed up for this program, you're finding ways to get outside. And so one thing I did want to show you, so as you probably noticed, when you kind of surged and found your places to get outside last year, there were certain places that got more crowded than others. And so that's partly because of the increased interest, but also because there are certain preserves that more people know about than others. And so I just want to share with you a resource that we have, which is a map of all of the preserves amongst our organizations. And a lot of these preserves people don't even know exist. And so you might get there and it might be empty when our Highland Farm Preserve or our Brave Headwaters, Brave Harbor Preserve, if those parking lots are full, there are all these other options you can go to that might be empty. So I'm going to share my screen. In a moment. Let me just get the right thing up. All right. So this is one of are organizations that I also work with, Mount A to C. And on this website, I'm just gonna, we have our explore section, and we have this map that I'm talking about. I'll give it a second to load. It's a little bit big. So I will put this in a moment. I'll put this link in the chat box so you can find this online version, but there are hard copies of this available through all of our organizations. So at kiosks, at headquarters, at offices, these maps are available. And so you can find a hard copy, and they're really handy. So on the front, you'll see all these locations. So these are all different public preserves. There are over 24 of them. And then you'll see on the flip side of the map, there are descriptions of all these preserves. So it tells you like how big it is, how long trails are, what type of habitat you might see, and then whether pets are allowed, whether biking's allowed, hunting, bathrooms available, a wheelchair accessible. So it's a really handy tool. And I just mention it because, like I said, I think there are a lot of preserves people aren't aware of, and we just would love to get you out on all of the lands because they're all worth seeing. And we want to kind of distribute the foot traffic. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to put that link in the chat box. So that's where that is. Awesome. So for the next bit, what we're going to do is we're going to take turns introducing our organizations, and we're going to point you to some resources where you can find upcoming events or ways to get outside on your own. And I will be kind of sharing my screen as each member of Gateway to Maine Outside speaks, and just kind of pointing you through the website. And I'll also put that website in the chat box. So if you want to follow along on your own, you can do that too. So that's what we're going to do first. Then we're going to have a little bit of a game from White Pine Programs to keep people awake and interactive. And then we'll have time for questions before the end of the hour. Alrighty. So to start us off, we're going to have Naomi with the Mount Agamenticus Conservation Program.
Great. Hi, my name is Naomi. I am the Outreach and Education Coordinator for Mount A. Here at Mount A, we manage 40 miles of trail or so on about 10,000 acres of land. Our goal is to balance wildlife habitat, water quality, and then access to sustainable recreation. So if you are planning a visit to Mount A this spring and want some help in doing that, whether you're visiting for the first time or you just want to try out a new trail, our website is a really great place to start, and Laura pulled that up for me. So that's awesome. So if you visit agamenticus.org and find the plan your visit tab at the top, and then go to trails and activities, you'll find a ton of information about visiting. So that includes our trail map, as well as descriptions of all the trails in the First Hill area, which is where the Summit Park is, and is sort of what we consider like our front country, for lack of a better term. A couple interpretive hike options for families would be our Tree ID Loop and our Story Walk. The Tree ID Loop will take you from the summit down to Ring and Hairpin trails, and then back up to the summit by the staircase, and marks some common tree species along the way. So on that section of our website that she has up, you can grab the PDF that includes the map and some information about each of the species, as well as links to some really great resources on tree identification in general. Winter and spring are both really great for practicing tree ID and learning how to ID trees before the leaves come out. The Story Walk is a hike along Ring Trail and up to the summit via Witch Hazel that follows along with the pages of a book. So we switch out the book each season. So for spring, which is next week, I will be putting up a book called Noisy Frog Sing Along. And that'll sort of celebrate our amphibian neighbors who are waking up soon and are going to be on the move. So keep an eye out for them as well if you're driving here. So most of our public programming options actually run from May to October. So we're a little early right now. But I do have a few things I can tell you about that are happening in the next couple months through like May. So beginning in April, we're starting our volunteer community workday program for the year. From April through November, we do host a public volunteer workday once a month. It's a great opportunity to get outside and get your hands dirty. The scheduled days are also really good for like beginner volunteers, for folks who are just kind of starting out, getting out on the trails and learning about trail work. They provide a way to meet our crew and learn about our specific land management practices and kind of why we do the work we do at Mount A. Information on volunteering can also be found at our website. If you hover over support our work and click on the volunteer section, all that info can be found there, including dates for the work days for the year. We also post that info to social media, so like Facebook and Instagram. And then as far as educational options go right now, we are hosting monthly joint programs with our neighbors at the Center for Wildlife, and they're here too tonight. Our upcoming April event is all about vernal pools, and in May, we'll be talking about pollinators. Typically, those programs take place up here at the summit, but this year, we're really excited to start a few of those down at the new Center for Wildlife facility. So both the April and May programs will be there. Information about those can be found on our website and social media, as well as the centers. And you can actually register for those programs via their website. They have a really great like events calendar, and you can register directly from there. So that's it for us for early spring. We will be posting more like late spring, early summer programming soon on our website, as well as the Town of York Parks and Recreation site as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Naomi. So let's see, next up we have Center for Wildlife. So I will put this into chat box. This is their events page, but I'll go to their home page. And we will have Katie.
Hi, my name is Katie. I'm with the Center for Wildlife. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So you were on the events page, and we can navigate there in just a sec, but the Center for Wildlife is a wildlife medical clinic and environmental education center on Mount Agamenticus. So we're right next to the summit. It's beautiful. We just moved into our new facility, and we have a lot of fun things planned for the next couple of months. The center treats a variety of species from our area. Every single type of bird you could find in our area, we'll take care of. We see many small mammals as well, and all of our state's reptiles and amphibians are admitted to the Center for Wildlife. So we're really excited to now be able to welcome the public to our new nature center. So would you mind navigating to the Visit Us tab, Laura? Thank you so much. So if you look at the Visitor Admissions Nature Center page, we have a beautiful new nature center. It is indoors, and we are incorporating an outdoor piece to that shortly. We're still working on our campus, and this website is still under construction. Bob here is working on making that really beautiful. So this tab is really a great place to come and see all of the different options that we have for programming, for rentals, for sites that you can come and visit. So the Nature Center is our current exciting offering. You can visit us on the weekends and register right through this page. We also have outdoor programming that is going on throughout the rest of this month and then into next. We have an owl prowl that is scheduled for next Friday, which will be really fun. And if you continue to scroll down, Laura, and then this link here under upcoming events will take you to the events page. And this is where you can register for both our virtual and our outdoor options. We do have both available for folks depending on your comfort level, but in terms of getting you outside, we have our owl prowl next Friday, and then we also have a joint program coming up on the 1st of April with Dan Gardoki of Lead with Nature. So we're going to be going exploring some vernal pools. It's called Peering into Vernal Pools. And then this April calendar will populate with more of those offerings that Naomi mentioned. Our joint programming with them in April is also focused on vernal pools, and then pollinators in May. So we will populate this as those events come up. And then we also on our Facebook page have those offerings there as well. So if you follow us on any of our social media accounts, you'll be able to find all of that information. The Center for Wildlife is open on the weekends as well as Mondays and Fridays for Nature Center guests. And we are trying to have everyone pre-register before they come so that we can keep programming limited to a certain amount. We have been capping all of our programming at 20 individuals and keeping everybody outside and socially distanced. So we've had some really great successful owl prowls this winter. We have a lot of owl activity here. So we're excited to be able to welcome members of the public safely to our new space. And keeping that registration going is really great for helping us with that. So thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, well, moving right along to Kittery Land Trust. I will put this in the chat box and we will have Lisa. Unless
Ready?
Lisa, you want to share your screen, Lisa?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm happy you guys would take time from being outside to be with us tonight, because I know it's hard to be online when we're all outdoor people. I wanted to share with you. So the Kittery Land Trust, we consider ourselves small but mighty. To date, we have preserved 1,000 acres in Kittery. So you can see here, we just released this new map a week or two ago. So we'll be printing these soon. You can see we've included some town pieces as well. So any place that you can get out and explore is included on this map. So we're pretty happy to, in a small town with a little land trust, where there's so much going on outside. As far as programming goes, we are collaborating with White Pine. So for the first Wednesday of every month this spring, we are doing guided bird walks at our Brave Boat Headwaters Preserve. So this link is up now for the April one, and I believe there's still spots available. And we're also doing a screening of Kiss the Ground on March 23rd. And then we're doing that with the Kittery Adult Ed program. So that's going to be free. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as I get to my next thing. So for us, our exciting thing when the pandemic came, we had to cancel all of our programming like everybody else. And we were really upset that we couldn't connect with people. Our motto is to save land and build community. And all of a sudden that community piece was gone. So we were doing a lot of brainstorming, trying to figure out how do we still have that community piece. So we came up with the idea of creating a garden where we could grow fresh produce and donate it to those in need in the surrounding towns. So we asked Jackie Nooney, who had a farm in Kittery, if we could use a small plot of land. So she generously agreed and tilled it for us. So last summer, we were able to put together this garden, and with the help of 48 people, 48 new volunteers for us, we grew about 2,000 pounds of produce that were donated to 5 local organizations. So that was really exciting, and we plan to do it again this summer. On that property, it also was for sale at the same time. So it's a beautiful 30-acre piece that is very much an urban farm. It's located across from the Shapley School, very close to the traffic circle in 236. And we purchased the property in December. And we really see it becoming our hub for the Kittery Land Trust. We intend to have an outdoor nature center, where people can come and hike and snowshoe and look for birds and cross-country ski and garden, sled. So there's going to be something for everyone here. With its location with Shapley School across the street, we're already working with some faculty members there to develop some education programs. So the school can expand their classroom space and come to the farm to learn how to grow their own foods, to have plein air art classes while they're outside. Gym classes can come and snowshoe right there. So we're pretty excited about that. In addition, the agricultural area has sort of been dormant for a few years. So our intent is to support the local food movement. So we put out a request for proposals and we had them come from all over. And we have selected these 3 farm teams, and each of them are going to be leasing about an acre of land from us and growing fresh produce that they'll be offering at local markets, in grocery stores, and restaurants. So it might look like an album cover, but these are actually our farmers. So they are getting going in the greenhouses right now. We actually have things growing in March in Kittery. So it's pretty exciting to see the farm is coming to life. I'm gonna go back. So the farm has a number of greenhouses and the hoop houses that are heated. So the farmers will be using some, and one we will maintain for the Kittery Land Trust for workshops. So this past fall, we did a seed saving workshop. We plan to do a lot of things like that for the community. So I encourage you to join our email list and follow us on Facebook. These things are just in the works now, and we are going to be mapping out a whole lot of programming on the property. This is one of our interns from the summer, Kate. She was delivering to the Kittery School Nutrition Program that fed about 250 kids every day this summer. So it's really awesome to know that, we are helping our neighbors in need. And this was a student. She is a student at Trape. She worked in the garden harvesting all summer as well. So when you're looking for things to do as the weather gets nice, we are going to be putting a shout out for volunteers to come help us in the garden. There's a watering schedule, weeding, harvesting later in the season. And it really is a super peaceful spot to get your hands dirty and be outside, listen to the birds. And now we'll have farm teams there that you'll be able to interact with as well. And once you get past the agricultural area, there's a whole section of upland forest. So up here we'll have trees. We envision a little outdoor sort of sit spot where you can go and sit with the people you discuss a book, or go with the Cub Scouts and talk about something that you're studying. So there'll be these spots available as we develop the trails. And we're just absolutely thrilled about Muni Farm. So we hope that you will come visit us this spring. We'll be out there building trails. There's a lot of ways to get involved. You can volunteer in the Giving Garden. If you happen to be handy and like tools and tractors and stuff, we're putting together a farm maintenance team that's going to help us maintain the tractors and all of our equipment. So there's a lot of ways to get involved and certainly spread the word. It's very different from our other properties where you'll be hearing about a campaign this summer. Our goal is to raise $1 million for an endowment for the farm. So that way it's self-sufficient, and it's, most of our other properties have trails that don't require a lot of funding once they're paid for. We build bridges and signs and maps, but this is very different because of the infrastructure. And all of a sudden we have a barn and a well and irrigated fields. And so it's a whole new ball game for the Kittery Land Trust, but we couldn't be more excited. So we hope you come visit us soon at the farm.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And there was a question from the audience. Will that map that you showed in your first slide be on the KLT website?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Yes, we published it, and one day later I left on vacation. So I just come back, and I have that on my to-do list. So yes, it will, and we'll be printing copies as well.
Okay, awesome. Great. Well, we are now going to turn to Brenna. Hello, Brenna, and I'm going to put
Hi.
Great Works into the chat box.
Thank you.
All righty, here we are.
Okay. Hello, my name is Brenna Crothers. I'm the outreach and communications person for Great Works Regional Land Trust. We, like the other land trusts, conserve land. We focus on agriculture as well as public recreation lands, and we have over 6,600 acres conserved with 18 preserves. Yay, Lee, for visiting all of our 18 preserves. We had a trail challenge this fall, and many people got to see all of our preserves, and we're so grateful that that opportunity was seized and people enjoyed the preserves. So I'm going to speak a little bit about what we're offering this spring. So, well, actually first, could you go to the trails page, Laura?
Yeah.
So that shows all of our preserves. If you scroll down, we need to take the Winter Warrior Challenge down. It shows all our preserves, but also there's a tab next to a few of them that have a self-guided hike packet. And if you click that first one, it's just a downloadable PDF that has information about the preserve, things to look for. There's also an activity at the end for families and a map. So not all of our preserves have them, but a large number of them have those self-guided hike packets if you want to go out on the trails on your own. And that was one of the things we developed last spring in wake of the pandemic. So the next thing I was going to chat about is our events. And we have some fun events happening this spring. We're also kind of in a in-between phase right now. We offer programs in the fall. We offer programs all year, but we tend to have majority of our programs in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And so right now I'm kind of in between winter and spring. And the spring outings, we're starting a new program, which I'm calling Toddler Toddles, and it's going to be, or Stories in the Woods. It's going to be once a month from April through October. We're going to meet at a different preserve within our 6 towns that we protect land in, which is Berwick, North Berwick, South Berwick, Elliott, Ogunquit, and Wells. And we're partnering with the local libraries, and they're going to read a book at the preserve that will connect with a theme. So for our first outing in April will also be a vernal pool outing, and we're going to read a book such as A Big Night Out or The Secret Pool. And then we'll read it, and then we'll toddle on over to a vernal pool and see what we can find. It's going to be a pretty loose program because many of you who probably are parents know that children have their own pace. So Forest Play Group meets reading a book situation. So that'll be happening the 3rd Thursday of every month from May to October. And then we always offer a walk the first Wednesday every month at one of our preserves. That's not a themed walk. It's just a general, let's go and hike. The one that is this month, I believe, is at Agamenticus actually, can you scroll down? I think it's, no, I was right. It's, no, it's Nowitchawanek Woods in Berwick, one of our new preserves. So that'll just be a walk. I'm usually the one who leads those, and I'll identify things that I see along the trail and any special features, but it's a pretty casual walk. And those are every Wednesday. And then for our hike seasons, which are the spring, fall, and winter, we have Saturday outings. And so we have a vernal pool walk this month, as well as 2 history walks that are the 3rd and the 10th, and those will be at Savage Wildlife Preserve, and those are with our partners, the Old Berwick Historical Society. So a bunch of other outings. We have a stream explore, a botany walk, a birding walk. We also are going to have a virtual trail trek for National Trails Day. So that'll be over the course of 2 weekends. And I think there's going to be a 5K and a 10K, and you can either walk it or run it. And there'll be more information about that coming out soon. We are going to have a press release on it. And also, if you're on our email list, you'll receive information about that through Facebook as well. If you aren't on our email list, just shoot me an email, bcrothers@gwrlt.org. My email is on the website as well. It's under the About Us tab. So, and I also think that we have a email sign up, but this just feels easier to me. So you can just shoot me an email right there if you'd like to be added for more information about any of the outings or the trail treks. Yeah, it's going to be a fun spring. So we have a lot going on, and thank you for the opportunity to speak, York Public Library, and Laura for leading the partners.
All right, thanks, Brenna. So next, let's go to White Pine programs. Heather, you want to take it away?
Actually, I think I'm on deck for this. So,
Oh,
hi,
Todd,
everybody.
great.
My name is Todd DuPont. I'm Director of Education at White Pine Programs. Thanks to our community partners, and thanks to everybody who's participating in this call in York Public Library.
I'm going to take Fiona out and I'll be right back.
Okay. Wasn't sure if that was for me. But it's nice to see and hear everybody. You know, White Pine Programs operates in York, Maine, and we've been in operation for about 21 years. We are an outdoor education facility or organization that really focuses on developing a, connection to nature, also a thirst for knowledge around nature, and independence and sort of like capability and, like resilience in nature. It's been an interesting year with COVID. One of the great things that happened, even though it's been a challenging year, it really allowed us to look at all the different programs we do and figure out where we want to go in the future. We do full outdoor programs. We're outside for whole days. Our forest kindergarten program and our forest school program are really our cornerstones. We're also working in the York Public Schools and the Portsmouth Public Schools. We serve families from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. We offer programs all throughout the year, along with summer programming, which we're really excited about getting kind of back to where it has been in the past and doing some new things this summer. I'm really grateful to the partnerships with Land Trust because we don't have our own land. So we work on Zach's Farm in York, along with offering public and family programs through York Land Trust and Kittery Land Trust as well. We'll share that flyer that got sent over to Laura in just a little bit. A big thing for us in this year was talking about access and equity and how we make our programs more accessible to the general public. We've always sort of operated in a space of like very specific expertise or having this knowledge base that was sort of required to move forward. And a big goal for us was to remove those barriers and try to be a more welcoming organization to the general public. And I think we've done an amazing job with that in this year. And so we're offering public bird walks through York Land Trust and Kittery Land Trust this spring. We're looking at programs and thank you for sharing that. So these are some of the things that we're coming up. We've already kind of rolled out our summer programming, which has had an amazing sort of engagement, which we're really excited about. But for us, we want to be a community partner, and we want to be someone that people look to kind of explore nature in different ways. And that's why I'm so grateful to this partnership. If you look at this sort of document, we have guided nature walks that happen once a month. We have a wildlife tracking club that's open to the general public, also runs once a month. The guided bird walks are on there. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You can always reach out to me if you have questions or interested or want to learn more. But yeah, it's a really exciting time. And White Pine is an organization that cares a lot about the community that it operates in and wants to engage people in all different types of sort of aspects of what we do. So I don't want to take up too much time, but that's kind of us in a nutshell. And feel free to reach out to me at any time with more questions, Heather as well. So thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Todd. So for our last organization, I will speak, which is York Land Trust. So I'm Laura Popick. I'm the Outreach and Programs Coordinator for York Land Trust. We are a one-town land trust and hold more than 2,500 acres of land. Some of that is publicly accessible and some is just preserved for the sake of habitat. And we have a number of different ways that you can kind of explore our land and get involved with us. We have 7 preserves now that are open to the public. So I will put this in the chat box. I'll also add that at the end of this program, I'll just send a link to a Google document with all of these links so that you can keep track of it that way too. So on our Explore page, you'll see these are our 7 preserves. Our newest one is this Fuller Forest Preserve, which is on Bartlett Road, if you're familiar with York. We have about a mile-long trail now, but it are planning to expand that to over 2 miles this spring, so pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that. As I was mentioning earlier on, some of our preserves are more popular than others. So our Highland Farm Preserve gets a lot of traffic, but a lot of people don't realize that right across the street is the Smelt Brook Preserve, which has beautiful views of the Smelt Brook marshes. Just highly recommend it. It's a beautiful walk. We also have a pretty lesser known, but also beautiful trail at our headquarters. That's about a little less than a mile, also along the Smelt Brook on a just portion a little bit further along. So I recommend checking those out. Hilton Wynn is a great spot for birding and connects with trails with Great Work Regional Land Trust as well. And you can end up going on, I think, about a 6 mile or so long loop if you really do all of the trails. So you can make a good morning or afternoon of it. McIntyre Highlands and McFeely's are also great, but right now they're only accessible by foot. There's no parking available in those neighborhoods at the moment. We're working on expanding that with the neighbors there, but that's those are harder to access unless you happen to live in those neighborhoods, in which case you should bike and walk there, and that's great. So those are the spots that you can explore on your own. We have a couple guides that can help you kind of engage more with the land, you and or your kids if you have them, or other people's kids that go hiking with you. We've got activities for different ages, and we're working on a series of scavenger hunts as well. So we've got one so far for our Smelt Brook Preserve that's themed around trees. So this is a fun little activity that you can do on your own. And we also have hosted a program around that scavenger hunt too. So in addition to these self-guided opportunities, we do have events throughout the year that you can find on our news and events page. But I'll also say that the best spot to find our upcoming events is really if you go to our homepage here and you look to the bottom right here, you can see the upcoming events. So you'll see we have a bird walk coming up tomorrow that we do with White Pine Programs monthly on Wednesdays. And we have other programs coming up throughout the spring that we're just about to start advertising. Our biggest one being a plant sale that we're planning to do. So it's going to be a native plant sale for gardeners on Saturday, May 8th. So mark your calendars. We'll start advertising that pretty soon. But that'll be a great time to start thinking about what you might want to add to your garden. So we have that coming up. We'll have a program around the benefits of thinking about like indigenous philosophy around gardening with native plants and thinking about native species in general with some partners that we're working with from the Penobscot community. So really excited about that. That'll be on May 6th, leading up to the plant sale. And aside from that, we'll have a poetry walk next month as well. We're for National Poetry Month. So we'll have a walk where we incorporate some poetry. Stay tuned on our website here, and also on Facebook is another good place to see what events we have coming up. So that's our York Land Trust spiel. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I know that was a lot of information for you all. So we are going to transition now to a little bit more of an interactive part of the program. So Todd, you want to lead us in that?
Yeah, thanks everybody. Always hard to think about interactive on Zoom, right? Because we're interacting in one way, but also the work that we do is not necessarily, like directly correlated with sitting on a computer and, looking at a screen. That's something that White Pine learned a lot in the last year. So, I didn't know exactly who the audience was, but, I got to a place where, one, we have the vernal equinox coming up, which is really exciting. Two, we're starting to see our migrating birds return, and also our year-round birds, changing a little bit, whether it's plumage or their song or things like that. All types of things are happening outside with birds. And one of the things that's really important at White Pine is what we refer to as the art of questioning. So as opposed to just seeing something outside and being like, that's a chickadee, or that's a robin, or that's this, or this is skunk cabbage, we encourage our whoever it is, whether it's a child or an adult, to ask questions about it. We also encourage our educators to do the same thing, to put those questions right back. So I know time's going by fast, but what I've queued up is a couple different bird calls, which I'm going to encourage our community partners to participate too. And for those who aren't on video, feel free to put your questions into the chat. I'm going to play a bird sound, and I'd love for all of you just to ask some questions about it. That could be the size of the bird. Does that bird live in Maine? Does that bird migrate? Is it here year round? Whatever question you want to ask. And I'll field a couple questions around that before we kind of get into who that bird is and why it's here and stuff like that. So hopefully that makes sense. It's something I've done with our students when we were fully remote last year, and I really appreciate you bearing with me. You also might hear some bird sounds next to me, which are, there they are. Those are my pet cockatiels, so hopefully they won't confuse it too much. But I really encourage people just to ask me some questions about what I play, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it okay. If you can't hear what I'm playing, just give me a thumbs down or something like that. I'm getting back into Zoom remote teaching. So just give me 1 second and we'll do a couple of these, and hopefully you guys can ask some questions about it. And again, I would encourage anybody to ask questions. All right. So I'm going to go with this guy right here for the first one. So that was our first one, and I'd love to hear a question. Where does that bird live was our first question. Thank you, Katie. That bird is not totally native to Maine, but enjoys some time here, especially around our wetland areas, and is a pretty early spring arrival. So yeah, so not here, a little further south during the winter months, but definitely here over the spring and summertime. Anybody else? Does this bird live near the ocean? Potentially, but it's looking for some freshwater habitats to kind of accommodate its nesting and mating cycle. Does it have relatives that are really common? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I would say yes to that. And maybe I'll take one more question if anybody has one. Does this bird mate for life? I might rely on Katie for this. I don't think so. This is a little bit, the male is a little, again, I don't know our audience, is a little promiscuous during its mating season and nesting time. So I'm going to go with a no there. So this bird, if you heard that call, like usually when we talk about it, the kind of sound is, I'm not really great at this, so I apologize for, offending your eardrums. It's kind of like conqueree. And we've seen this bird really showing back up here in about the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Really, the male is super striking. The female also very striking, but more subtle, which is typical. And does anybody know who the bird is? I know a couple people do. Anybody in our general public audience? All right. Well, this is Katie. Do you want to tell us? I can't do this all on my own. Debbie seems to know too.
Debbie knows.
Debbie can answer.
Go ahead, Debbie, if you want to throw it in chat.
That's okay. I can answer. So I saw them. There's some beautiful marsh right next to my dad's in Elliott, and I saw them for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and it was so exciting. They're red-winged blackbirds. Yep, there you go. Good job, Debbie.
Yeah, nice, Debbie. Yeah, that's our friend, the red-winged blackbird. The male,
Yeah.
really striking with all black and orange bands on its wings. And the female, these really beautiful colors of brown and white. They showed up about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I don't think they're migrating as further south as they used to. So they're getting back closer. I don't think they're quite overwintering. And of course, my birds are now like, you're playing bird calls, so let's do that. All right, we'll do one or two more. I had 5 queued up, but you guys are doing great. Everybody okay?
Yeah, there were some in the marsh across from Elliott Commons. There were tons of them.
Yeah, they're looking for that wetland freshwater
Yeah.
habitat. Cattails, a crucial plant for them, but really enjoyable to see. So really cool. All right, we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and the next one I'm gonna go to. I gotta figure out which one I want to play. Here we go. There's another cycle coming, I promise. Does this bird eat chipmunks? If they can find one, yeah. Okay. Next question was, is this bird active at day or during night? Which is a really interesting question for this bird. The answer is both. The only detail I would add on to this bird is they're amazing. They're also kind of a little bit of a weirdo. Like, they have a very specific like sort of operation in the world, and they do some things that other types of these birds do not do. Anybody got one more question? Do they dance during mating? They do some really interesting things during mating. I don't know actually, and I would again rely on Katie here to know if they do a specific mating dance, but during mating season, which happens pretty early, they have a lot to say and are certainly presenting in some unique ways. So yeah, nice. And this is probably my favorite animal on the planet. I used to work with one that was non-releasable, and so they mean a lot to me, and I also have them up at where my camp is. I guess, and anybody know who this bird is? Anybody want to jump in? Or what type of bird? I guess I would start with that. Let me put a question back at you. Like, what type of bird is this? Thank you, Laura. It is a type of owl. That's good. And it's a type of owl that spends the year here with us in Maine, which we have some owls that visit here seasonally, and we have some owls that stay here year round. This is one of our year round visitors. Anybody want to take a shot at the type of owl? Well, this is, I'll do it, and then I'm going to do one more really quickly and then move on to question and answer. This is our friend, the barred owl, a medium-sized owl in the state of Maine, but a little bit on the larger size because we have some smaller owls. They're really interesting. They are a little bit naturally curious and not so put off by people. They're also weirdos. They'll hunt crayfish in streams if they can find them and things like that. They're active during the day. They have amber eyes, which is a little bit different. They're a non-tufted species as well. A really striking owl, and if you're gonna see an owl, this might be one of the first species that you see if you're spending some time exploring. All right, one more really quickly, then I'll move on. Thank you for your patience. This one's a white pine favorite. We wait a lot for this to happen, and are always really excited, and a bird we've heard recently, just a little bit, so more of it's coming. So here we go. All right, give me some questions. Does it have long legs? For the bird, yes. It can make some things happen there. So yeah. Anybody else? Thanks, Heather. Appreciate your support. Is it coastal? It can be, but that's not the only place you're going to find it. It does not. All right. Well, I appreciate the questions. Does it live in trees? Does it fish well? Good questions. Does not fish well at all. And trees are probably not where you're going to see it or hear it. You guys are doing great. Thank you for supporting me on a long Tuesday. This bird, you know, somebody asked if the barred owl does a dance during mating, and that's potential. But if you're looking for a fancy dance, this is the bird to look to. That noise is ridiculous, but the dance is also really cool because it serves a purpose in terms of the food that they're looking for. Anybody want to take a shot? Yeah, thanks, Brenna. You got it. That's our friend, the American woodcock, which is like, to me, is such a sign of spring. Like, we're getting there, like things are happening. And we heard woodcocks, just as I was told by a colleague, he was like, it was kind of disappointing because I heard it once, the meh, and then like there was nothing. And I waited 20 minutes and it wasn't there, but we heard one at Zach's about a week ago. And so they're getting back. This is like an evening activity as the sun's going down, like find some time to go outside, be in a meadow, like, or that type of area, and just listen and open your ears up to it, because woodcocks are great. They bring me a lot of joy. If I have a stupid look on my face, that's the reason why. But they're a really enjoyable bird to observe. And with that, trying to be respectful of time, I don't want to take up any more. But you guys did great. Thank you for asking questions. That's a big part of what we do. You know, like, that answer will always get there, but ask some questions on both sides. And that comes from the people you're teaching, but also for yourself, right? Like, put those questions right back out there. That's something that means a lot to us at White Pine. And if you want to learn more about it, come see us. Thank you, Laura, for the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. That was great. I've never seen a woodcock in real life, so this is making me want to go out to a meadow now. So we've got about 5 minutes left. If anyone in the audience has any questions for any of the organizations or questions about certain events, this is open now for any and all of you to chime in. We'd love to hear from you. And that you feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat if that's easier for you. I will, while we're waiting for people to think, I will put a link, the link that I said I would put in. One moment. Let's see. Are there events we are not doing that you would like to see? Lisa says. It's a good question, Lisa. Who leads the bird walks for KLT? So Debbie Etheridge leads the bird walks with Debbie Lyons from White Pine for York Land Trust, and Debbie Lyons, it sounds like, leads that on her own for Kittery Land Trust. So that's great. So the bird walks for York Land Trust have been super popular. Thank you, Debbie, for all your work on that. And it's great to have spill and to have another opportunity for birders to get out on nearby lands.
Yeah, and if I could add really quickly, Debbie Lyons participated in the Maine Bird Atlas last summer, so she was way up north, and there's not anybody. I know a lot of people get stoked about birds, but Debbie's really high on that list. So yeah.
Yeah, she is awesome. She's a great tracker too. I've seen her do some tracking. That was great.
Well, I want to share from the library that in partnership with the York Land Trust, we've just put together these birding kits actually that you can check out from the library. They come in an obnoxiously yellow backpack, but they have all kinds of good stuff in them, including binoculars, different guides to find birds by sight and by sound, a journal to track what you find so we can kind of keep a collection of what else been seen by library users. And there's probably other good stuff in there too, lots of maps, a lot of the maps that were shown today, and I'll go through and pull off some of the others that might not have been specifically put in yet. But basically just to sort of enable even a more amateur birder to get out there and test things out if they don't have a pair of binoculars laying around. This is a good way to sort of get some easy access, and anybody can borrow one at the York Public Library.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophie. Yes, so Sophie and I worked together to put together that backpack, which was super fun. So thank you, Sophie, for that opportunity. So yeah, binoculars, a bird guide, a set of note cards. If you learn easier with cards, you can play with the cards. There's a machine that plays bird songs. So it's pretty dynamic and fun. So it's available to check out for free at the library. And we'll be posting about that on our website soon as well. I'm about to put the link here. It's a Google Doc. Those are the beautiful cards.
They're so lovely. They're just really, and they have information if you like, you know, flipping through in sort of a different way.
You can make a game out of it. And this is the link. It includes just some of the links that I pointed you to and a couple just highlighted programs that some of the organizations wanted to point out. This is a wonderful resource as well. Thank you, Heather. All right, well, if any of you ever want to reach out to any of us, you'll find our contact information on our website. So please feel free to do so. We're always happy to hear from members of the community about, even if you have suggestions, like Lisa had asked, what do you want us to be offering? We'd love to hear that. So thanks so much for joining, everyone. It was really great to have you here. And hopefully we can all get outside and enjoy some spring weather soon.
Thank you all so much for putting this on with the library.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And if you want to point anyone to any of these resources, they will be available on the library's website in the next day or so once I get the video posted. So thank you all so much.